Welcome, my beautiful people. This is Crime with Wine. This is not technically wine, it's iced tea. I apologize, I can't drink wine with you today. I've been ill, so if you hear that any nasal stuffiness is going on around here, I apologize for that right now. But I am about 90% back to regular health. My name is Tamara and I bring you solved and unsolved crimes that took place right here in the Caribbean region. If crime and mystery is what you're into, then you're definitely in the right place. So go ahead, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any videos when I upload. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm happy to have you. But if you've been here before, welcome back, and it's great to see you again. Now, before we go to the Caribbean island, we're gonna take a trip internationally to Swansea in the south of Wales. I just feel like I should have my cup of tea, and I'll put my finger out like this, and I'll be all British. Swansea in the south of Wales, population 313,000. Where we would meet Ben, and his nickname was Muscles. Besides being kind-hearted and very loving, he loved to play rugby. He also served in the army. He was a police officer. However, his job as a police officer was very short-lived because he was so kind-hearted and loving and so sweet. He just could not take the distress of breaking bad news to relatives of persons who may have been a victim of crime. Now, just living a few miles away is Catherine. She was known to be a very caring and easygoing person, and she had her eyes set on becoming a doctor. In a pub not too far from where they lived, they will fall in love. Yeah, fall in love. And after dating for a few years, they decided that it was time for them to get married and spend the rest of their life together. And so by this time they were both 31 years old, and it was time to tie the knot in a beautiful wedding ceremony on the 12th of July 2008. So this ceremony was held at the St. John's Evangelist Church in South Wales. They could not wait to spend their life together, but before that, after the wedding, they had to go on a honeymoon. So as a wedding present from their family and friends, Ben and Catherine, they were gifted a 2 weeks honeymoon that promised to be the ultimate honeymoon getaway. Excited, I'm sure, like they probably were gonna have a trip of a lifetime. They jetted off to the picturesque island of Antigua and Barbuda. Antigua is beautiful and it's known for having many beaches. 365 to be exact, so you know there's a beach for every day of the year. Ben and Catherine, they checked into the 5-star CoCos Hotel Resort. 5 stars. And CoCos Hotel Resort is an adult-only resort. It's all-inclusive and it offers a rustic, romantic getaway for couples, and they advertise themselves as a way to reconnect with your partner. And it was a perfect honeymoon getaway because they don't have any amenities as other hotels would have, such as TVs and all those things, because they want to shut you off from the world and just focus on you and your partner and just reconnect. Time for them to go back to the UK was quickly approaching. Like, you know what they say when you're having fun, how time flies fast. But around July 27th, 6:15 a.m., police officers arrived at the cabin where they found a lifeless female body on the floor and a male body, and he was on the bed. And sadly, the bodies were identified as newlyweds, Ben and Catherine. Spending what was to be the last day of their honeymoon turned out to be the last day they would spend together alive. Now, Catherine laid on the floor with her eyes open and a visible wound to the back of her head. Her husband of 2 weeks, Ben, also had a wound to the head but he still had a pulse, but it was very faint. He still had a pulse. So he was rushed to the hospital and they airlifted him back to the Wales, where he died a week later at the same hospital, the very, very same hospital where his wife worked as a doctor. So with 2 murders on their hands, the police began their investigation as to who could have committed this gruesome crime. Ben and Catherine, they had no known friends on the island, and so police began questioning persons and guests on the resort, and some guests reported that they heard loud screams coming from the direction of Ben and Catherine's cottage, followed by gunshots. Upon further search of the cottage, investigators found that the couple's cell phones, money, and a small camera, they were missing, and it was now apparent that burglary was the motive behind the murders. However, there were no suspects as yet, and police were determined to find who committed the crime. In an effort to save the island's reputation as this perfect tourist, newlywed paradise and destination, they had to find out what happened, and they had to come up with answers, especially for the public and especially for persons living abroad who might want to come to the island in the future and might be deterred from coming just by hearing about this murder and what happened to visitors while they were on the island. They did not want that to be their reputation as an island, and so they called in some big boys. They went all the way back to England to get Scotland Yard. You know, shit is about to get real. But while the investigation is happening and all this is going on and they're trying to find out who murdered this couple, 2 local men, Martin, and he's 20, and Hopewell, 17, they broke into a shop of a local woman. Her name is Juanita Anderson, and they shot her in the head at close range. They stepped over her body and ran off with 2 mobile phones and some top-up cards. Searching this case and I heard top-up cards, I'm like, whoa, that just took me back 15 years ago when you had your cell phone. If you don't know what top-up cards are, then you're definitely way too young to be watching this video. So if you know what top-up cards are and you remember buying top-up cards and topping up, comment. Now, at this crime scene, investigators found a bandana and a bloodstained footprint. Although no weapon was found, ballistics showed that bullets from 3 murders were from the same gun. Now, the 2 men would further link themselves to the 3 murders 12 hours to be exact after the honeymoon couple was shot. Hopewell, he inserted his SIM card into the cell phone that was stolen from Ben MULLANY. His partner in crime, Martin's voice, his voice was found on the stolen Nokia. I haven't heard about that phone in a very long time. The evidence was starting to stack up against these men. And so we have the bandana, we have the footprints, we have the cell phones, we have the voice note, and upon that, topping all that off, gunshot residue was found on the men's clothing, as well as in a gun holster that they found while they were searching Martin's home. And so the men were arrested and charged with the murders of Ben and his wife Catherine, and they were also charged with the murder of Juanita Anderson. But both men, during their 8-week trial, which took place like 3 years after the murder, refused to even give information or further information about their actions. And so investigators, they were able to pinpoint which one of them exactly did the shooting, which one was the accomplice, or if both of them did the shooting. They were able to determine that. They were unable to determine that. Now you would think at least one would snitch on the other so that he could probably get a lesser charge. They just went down together like, we ride together, we die together. Criminals for life. That's exactly what they got. Life in prison, both of them. They got what they deserved. Everyone was pleased that all 3 murders were solved, and so the island, I guess, their reputation was saved because they were able to say, hey, we took these criminals off the street, and so you can come and visit, you're safe, there's no need to panic, there's no need to worry. But questions are still left unanswered. The biggest questions I have and that I was confused about was, how can 2 men just enter a 5-star resort and kill 2 people? How did they enter the hotel? How did they get access to the cottage? Guests and security at the hotel They testified that it was easy for persons to enter the gates just by giving it a hard push and it would be open. Security also stated that it was easy for persons to climb over the barriers of the resort. Even if it was easy for them to get over the barriers and to push the gate and get in, then when they entered the resort, where were the security? Where were the security cameras to pick them up and identify them quickly? So that maybe if they had did that, or maybe if they had security cameras, maybe Juanita Anderson, maybe she would have still been alive, because they would have already picked those suspects up and they would not have had a chance to go and murder somebody else. Where were the security when they entered to say, hey, you're not allowed on this, you're not permitted on this premises, so let's escort you out? And maybe if these small details were properly managed, maybe the newlyweds would still be alive today and probably had a long marriage, have kids, and live their dreams together. It's sad that just 2 weeks after celebrating their union and with their family and friends and having this beautiful, wonderful ceremony, their friends and family who sent them off to Antigua for their honeymoon as a wedding present, they now have to mourn their loss. And it makes me wonder if they probably felt any guilt that they were the one who gifted them that as a honeymoon present, send them off to that island. What had happened if they had been to a different island? But just 2 weeks after they celebrated their union with their family and friends, they had to mourn their loss at the same church that they said their vows. And the bodies were laid to rest on August 14th, and it was attended by hundreds of persons. This case, it was a tragic one, and one that was filled with love, a beautiful love story, and ended with a very tragic, sad ending. And I just wonder, should the hotel be held accountable for failure to provide adequate security and protection for their guests? Well, the resort is still in operation, and from pictures and videos that I have seen, it looks very updated and like things are much different than they were years ago when that murder took place. But I do hope that measures have been put into place so that something this tragic will not happen again to anybody, for visitors and even those persons who are living on the island. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what are your thoughts about this case. Let me know if you've ever been to Antigua before, if you've ever been to CoCos Hotel Resort, and tell me what it was like. Thank you for sticking around with me and for watching till the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next one.